Hey folks, Westlake tires. Is it true they say? Are they really China bombs? We're going to give you our experience, and you can decide for yourself. We've had many trailers, work and play trailers, utility trailers, all kinds of trailers, camper trailers and everything, even boat trailers that came with Westlake tires. And my experience with them has not been good. Every Westlake tire I've had has blown. There's a couple of things that are very important when it comes to tires, especially trailer tires, especially for your RV. Trailer tires are ST tires, which means they're a special tire. These tires are constructed with reinforced sidewalls and also made to carry a heavier load. The wire in the sidewalls is thicker and just made to just to be more robust. You know, you do see people that use truck tires. I would never do that. The sidewalls on a truck tire aren't constructed or engineered to carry a load. When you have a tire per se, and we have a dual axle, your tires, when you're turning, okay, your tires don't turn. They don't have a turn radius, so they slide. So when you're making those turns, especially a sharp turn, they're grinding against that. If you have a dual axle, they're working against each other. So one's pushing against this outer sidewall and the other one's pushing against the inner as they're turning like this. So the sidewall's got to be a little stronger to be able to withstand that. And you can always see that if you're turning in grass and things like that. You go back and look at your tracks, you'll see where the tire didn't actually roll, it actually slid across. So just things that to keep in mind. So we bought our, as many of you know, we bought our 2021 Grand Design 265 Explorer. Love the trailer. If we had to do it over again, we would buy it again. I have some very good friends of mine. One of them is a 30-year tech at the largest RV dealership in the entire nation. And he's been doing this for, ever. We did a lot of research before we bought our travel trailer as to brands and things like that. And, they're not built like a house. We understood that. I knew that going in. I built homes, so I know what that is. So anyway, he said, hey, they're a great travel trailer, you got to change out the tires because they come with the Westlakes. So I figured after we bought this trailer, I was going to get what I could out of them, and I anticipated being able to get anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 miles out of these trailers, out of these Westlake tires. Now, to give you a little of those of you who know me, know how I am. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Everybody does things, but I believe in checklists and I do them religiously. There's a few things that I do when it comes to tires because I'm very paranoid about tires, in which everybody should be. That yours, your families, and other people's lives are depending upon the tires, and lots of bad things happen when blowouts happen on a freeway when everybody's going 60 to 80 miles an hour. So the first thing that we do before we depart always is I check the lug nuts, make sure that they're torqued properly. I also check to make sure that we have the proper PSI. We always keep a record of our camper's weight, okay? And we make sure that we're not overloaded. We also make sure that we're balanced, okay? It's only like $10-15 to go to a weigh station and weigh your camper. So we always want to make sure that we're within weight. The other thing is we have a TST monitoring system, which we love. The monitoring system not only monitors the air the pressure, the PSI, but it also monitors the temperature, and you can preset these. Now I set mine a little bit more rigid than what a lot of other people, so which means I'm going to get that alarm's going to go off on my TST quicker than it normally would for what's recommended, basically. The other thing is I never exceed 60 miles an hour ever. Most tires are rated for 65, so I'm always within that, and I stay 55 to 60 tops. Now, everybody's seen those camper trailers that go flying by you at 80 miles an hour and they're swaying all over the road. That's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous, and I personally don't recommend it, but I think we've all seen it happen before. So this was a couple of weeks ago. We had reservations at Lake Griffin State Park and here in Florida, and I've made reservations at this park 4 times previously, and I've had to cancel them every single time, and had to cancel them again. I don't know, we're just jinxed. It's just not on the cards. Just something doesn't want us to go to that particular park. We had friends that were meeting us at the park, some of you that were meeting us there, and we had reservations. Obviously you have to have reservations. I don't know what the hell I'm saying there, but anyway, we had reservations, and we were supposed to meet them. I had checked everything over. I was hitched up. I was ready to go. My wife Lauren was meeting us there with the dog. She had to work late, so so she was going to meet us there afterwards, pick up a couple of grocery items that we hadn't picked up, and just meet us there afterwards. So I'm on the road. Everything's going well. I was on the road for probably a little over an hour when and I had just looked at my TST. I look at it religiously. I have it just under the visor on my truck window, and I'm constantly looking at the progression of the PSI of each tire, and I also look at the temperature of each tire. Everything was checking out good. We're rolling down the highway. All of a sudden I hear this bam, this loud explosion. Okay, now I checked the tires before we left, made sure there was nothing. These tires, by the way, are less than 18 months old and have less than, maybe at this point they had probably 2,100 miles. That's 2100, not 21,000. So and being at 18 months, and I also checked, you can check the numbers on the tire to find out what they are. Tires are less than 2 years old. So our tires our campers kept in a garage. Okay, so it's not exposed to the elements. The only time it's ever exposed to the elements is when we're camping, and we're weekend warriors. So and we usually look for shaded spots. So it's really not exposed to a lot of the wear and tear that others have when they're parked on the side of their house or something like that, where the sun's beating on them all the time. So show you the pictures here of what we encountered, and I pulled off to I was able to safely pull off the side of the road. Nobody else was hurt. The camper held up well on the one tire, believe it or not. I really didn't feel too much on the one tire, but I was able to get safely off to the side of the road, off the freeway there, and landed up using our Good Sam's roadside assistance, which I'll cover in another video, and they were great. They were very helpful, and they got us unfortunately, because the way the metal had ground into the other tire, I thought I was going to need another tire, so we had them bring us out another tire, which was about $400 for them to bring a tire out to us. But I thought I was going to have to replace the tire in the front, because we have the dual axle. This is my front tire, this is my rear tire. It was my rear tire that blew on the one side. And so I knew, and I had a clear shot. There was nothing in the road, nothing. Everything was perfect, everything that you could possibly do. This thing just blew out of the blue. I mean, just blew. There was absolutely nothing you could have done to prevent it. And believe it or not, I was traveling at about 54 to 55 miles an hour, and never exceeded that because it was a Friday afternoon. Traffic was tight on the interstate, and never went over 55. So there's really no reason. So, and unfortunately, this is the experience I've had with all my trailers and all my that had Westlake tires. Now I can tell you this. We've been doing this for 30 years. Okay, I've changed out my Westlake tires, and I've never had a blowout with any other brand. Okay. Now my buddy that's a tech, and you can ask on your own, but I can tell you, when you start hearing things over and over again, a lot of people say, well, Westlake tires, that's because they're on the majority of rigs. Okay, well, let's debunk that for the naysayers. Okay. RV manufacturers have started putting better tires on their better rigs, not really their entry level so much. Grand Design is unfortunately still putting Westlake tires on their Transcend Explorer, which is their entry level camper. Now on their Imagines and all the other ones, they're putting Goodyear Endurance or just better quality tires, Carlisle's, things like that. What my friends and acquaintances and people that I know that are in the insurance business, RV insurance business, and have been for many, many years, people that are techs in the RV industry, all those things, they've seen a steep decline in those tire blowouts. And as I'm recording this too, it's just ironic. We belong to a social media forum for our camper, and this little social media site, and a good friend of ours is traveling, and guess what happened to them? They're doing the same thing that I did, trying to get the most out of their Westlake tires. He's got 900 and something miles on his tires. His 2022, just bought it, and guess what? And he's religious about his, checking everything, and they blew. He was, I think he said they were 15 minutes into their journey, and all of a sudden, tire just blew. Okay, so my thoughts on Westlake tires, I think, my opinion, I think they're a piece of crap. I've never had that with any trailer, car hauler, anything that I've had. I've never had a blowout with any other tire. I've had them go flat because of a nail or something like that, but I've never had an actual what they call a China bomb, and this is exactly what this thing was. It went off like a bomb. I mean, it was loud as hell, and it just shredded. I mean, just shredded. And so I've never experienced that with anything other than a Westlake tire. And the sad thing is Westlake used to make a really good tire back in the day, but until RV manufacturers put more requirements on them like Goodyear does, and not every tire that's made in Japan, or I'm sorry, not Japan, but in China, is a junk tire. Goodyear Endurance is made in China, but Goodyear actually puts stiff requirements on the manufacturing. Westlake, unfortunately, is the bare minimum of DOT standards. That's a fact. Okay, so you can do whatever you want. I read people say, hey, you know, I got 10,000 miles on my Westlake tires. I've never had a problem with Westlake tires. That's fine, and I'm happy for you. I'm glad you've never had that problem. I'm glad you've never had that experience. I'm telling you, on mine, 5 specific trailers that I've had very few miles on them, and I've never been able to get to 10,000 miles on any of my Westlake tires. And I don't know of anybody who has. I've had people put in comments that they have and all that. That's great. But you know, I've never gotten that out of mine, and my friends and people that I know and people that have commented in the past have had the same experience. So, but But either way, just you can make whatever decisions you make regarding the tires. We have switched to Carlisle. Carlisle has makes tires here in the United States. They're at 2 locations last I checked here in the United States. They're a good tire, I've had a lot of good experience with. I have friends that run the Goodyear Endurance tires too. They're a good tire as well. But I just think it's real important when your rig, your family, and the people driving next to you and all and everything. I just think for safety reasons, it's just really important to have a really good tire. It's so much is riding on it, and I'm really surprised that these RV manufacturers, up until recently, have been putting these cheap tires when they know the issue exists. So, and it being, it can be a nice rig and all that stuff, but safety is the most important thing. And the fact that they just put these things on there is just, now, not all of it's the tire's fault. People don't check their PSI, people don't check this, they don't check that, they don't lube their hubs, they don't do a lot of things that they're and some of them are cruising by at 80-85 miles an hour. That's a recipe for disaster. So I don't care what kind of tire you got, it's going to blow. And not saying that a Goodyear tire or any other tire is not going to blow. It can happen. It can happen to any tire. But the likelihood of it happening to one of those better made tires is statistically better. You can check with your own insurance company for that one. So I did, and my insurance adjuster told me. They don't really see it with the other tires. So, it just is what it is. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps. If you're out there and you're really pushing those limits on those Westlakes, I hope, and if you had good luck with them, hey, that's great too. Leave some comments below. Let me know. Either 2 things. I've now made 5 reservations at Lake Griffin State Park, and all of them have fallen through. So don't know what that is. Black cloud over our head or something for that particular park, and maybe we just have that black cloud over our head for Westlake tires. I don't know. But we haven't had it with the other tires, so we're going to go on that route. So, but either way, just thought I'd pass that information along. Hope all of you are doing well, and hope to see you camping.